I don't do that shit. Hell, no, I'm scared of that kind of shit. I done had a rape charge before.
Oh, for real?
Hell yeah, I'm scared of that kind of shit. I don't even play them.
You got like a charge? How you beat that?
Because I didn't do it. It was a criminal sexual conduct with a minor charge.
That means you would have to like register for the
Yeah, I was.
right?
It was the year 2000, 2001. I think I was like 20. I was 20 years old. My cousin had just graduated from high school, and he had got a scholarship to Penn State University. And I had a party, and I had all of these chicks at a party. Like I was doing overnights I was working at Z93 then. So I had all these chicks there that I met through radio, and chicks that my dude had known. So I used to always see this chick with my dude. So I bought, I invited her to the party. So she was at the party and shit. She got drunk, high, whatever. Something happened in the room with a couple of my dudes. I'm asking them, did they mess with the chick, after the fact, after she pressed charges? And they was like, no. But they was like, yo, she's bugging. I remember the night of, they was like, yo, she's in here bugging out. She's kicking over the TV and she's trying to set shit on fire. I'm like, what the fuck? Because I had left. So the next morning, I'm hearing she said she got raped. She got raped. So I go to the hood to ask what happened. They like, yeah, my cousin who had got the scholarship, yeah, he's in jail now. What you mean he's in jail? He's in jail. They said he raped the girl. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I go down to the jailhouse, talk to the detective myself. No, ain't got no one for me. I just told the detective, like, look, I take full responsibility for anything that happened in the house last night.
You gonna take the case?
No, but I told her, I said, as far as I know, because I asked around, did anybody fuck up? I'm like, yo, nobody got raped, yada, yada, yada. They didn't even have my cousin in custody. My other cousins was fucking with me. Because they was mad they didn't get invited to the party. Hating ass motherfuckers. So my cousin wasn't even in custody. So I went down to the jailhouse for nothing. So I'm like, yo, I take full responsibility for everything. I bought the alcohol. They was like, well, you're not even of age to buy alcohol. And I'm like, well, how'd you get it? Well, I got a crackhead to get it for me. Whatever.
They went down there copping out pleas.
Yeah, they had to do shit.
Damn.
So 2 weeks later, they come and arrest me for criminal sexual conduct with a minor. So I had to give blood and hair follicles.
For you going down there to initially explain it?
They ain't had nobody else depending on. So being that I went down there and took full responsibility, well, lock him up.
Did it get through? You got indicted on it and everything, or?
Now I went to court. Went to court and they reduced the charges to like contributing to the delinquency of a minor because I had to give blood and all DNA samples and it wasn't me. Whoever touched it wasn't me. So
you didn't get no jail time over that?
Nah, I got like probation, like 4 or 5 months probation or something like that. Man. Something like.
That's so. I mean,
so that's the reason I don't play those games with females.
I just want to make sure that what I heard is the same thing what you heard. For this is Charlamagne the God's version of the events that took place, and this took place on the night of June the 8th of 2001. As I say this out loud, reconciling your brain, is this the same information you got from the video that we just watched? Charlamagne the God said that he threw a party and he bought alcohol at this party. He said that the person who said that she was sexually assaulted, he didn't know her, and that one of his dudes knew her, and he saw her and he asked her to come to the party. So right there, he's saying that he asked her to come to that party. What you guys don't know from the video is that this was a 15-year-old girl. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but in that video, Charlamagne, you know what? I'm going to wait and go in order. Let me make sure, is there anything else before I even state the revelation of a first lie he already told? He said that he knew a girl from his dude and he invited her to come to a party. He said that she was smoking and she was drinking, and he said that she went away with some guys or whatever. But he left the party. He said he came back, he heard that she was screaming, she was yelling, she was hollering and everything. And then the next day he heard that she said that she was sexually assaulted. He said that he asked some people, did they know of what happened or did anyone do anything to the girl? So he's alleging that he never had intercourse with her. He's also alleging that no one did. He said that when he asked some guys, they told him that his cousin did it. So he decided to go to the police station to take blame, even though people all said that nothing happened. So he just went on his own to take blame. That's what he wants to get you to see in your mind, that he's a great guy. He's going to voluntarily go down to the police department. Only the paperwork says something different. The police report said that she filed the police report early the morning of June 9th, 2001. This is the morning after the alleged assault that happened at a party late night. Actually, you're going to hear in this story that the assault happened all night, leading until the morning. But before we get to that, here is the first concrete lie that Charlamagne the God said in that video. Charlamagne the God said that he told the police he's responsible because he bought the alcohol, and the police said to him, how could you buy alcohol? You're only 20 years old. This happened June 8th of 2001. On June the 8th of 2001, I was 21 years old. Charlamagne is 2 years older than me. Charlamagne was born June the 29th. This means that Charlamagne the God was 22 years old, and in just 21 short days, he would have been 23 years old. Why would a man almost 23 years old say twice in his story? The first time he told DJ Academics, I think I was 20 or something. And then he came back into his version of events and clarified that law enforcement also said, how can you buy alcohol when you're too young, when he could almost buy alcohol for 2 whole years? Why would he stay to lie like that? But to keep going with his versions of events, they took DNA from him. They took blood, they took hair, they took all of this stuff. Well, on the paperwork I have, it shows that no blood was taken. It shows that no saliva was taken. Only thing it's showing that was taken was fingernail clippings. That's it. Now, if they took fingernail clippings from Charlamagne the God, and in this video he's alleging that he didn't do anything and no one did anything to the victim, then this helps them, correct? What if I told you, what if she was molested by a bunch of guys, making it harder to obtain the DNA? But to keep going with the versions of the events, he said that they dropped the charges down to a delinquent of a minor. He's correct, but the way that he's wording things is very misleading, which we're going to come to by the end of the video. For he wants you to believe that due to only a lack of evidence is why they dropped the charges on him. He just told you guys that he went to court and they had no choice but to drop it. Actually, he didn't go to court. He was indicted. He never went to court, and I'm going to show you why in the video. But to clarify, that's what I got from what I just saw. With the information I got and with the screenshots I just put up showing what was in the actual police report. He wants to make it look like he went to the cops, but he could not have gone to the cops on his own accord, because you see on the morning of, she actually filed assault charges saying that he did it to her. So they would have been looking for Charlamagne the God. All right, without further ado, we've heard from Charlamagne the God. Now let's hear from the victim.
Today I'm here to talk about what happened in June 2001. A lot of you have heard Charlamagne's story, but today I'm here to set the record straight about what really happened that night. I met Charlamagne through a mutual friend. His name is Rico. I met Rico through my best friend. Her name is Shaniqua Epps. The night I met Charlamagne, Rico and I were hanging out. He told me he had some business to take care of and he had to stop by the radio station, Z93. So where I'm at right now, standing right in front of what used to be Z93 radio station, here is where I met Charlamagne. Like I said previously, I was introduced to him by Rico, who was a mutual friend of both Charlamagne and mine. Charlamagne worked at the time as a radio DJ. He introduced us. Rico introduced Charlamagne and I. I sat down. Rico and Charlamagne were discussing music. I kind of sat back while they talked. We left the station, and about 2 days later, Charlamagne called me. I'm not sure how he got my number because I didn't give it to him, but I'm assuming that Rico gave him my number. At the time I met Charlamagne, I was 15 years old. He told me he was 20. Just finding out recently he was actually 22 years old at the time. Our relationship was strictly platonic. We were friends and only friends. This is where Charlamagne came to meet my mom for the first time. Came upstairs to this apartment here to my left, came to meet my mother, spoke to her, introduced himself. And on that day, he took me and my best friend out to lunch to a Chinese buffet. I knew him about maybe, I want to say a month and a half before the incident.
He also, during that time when he introduced himself to me, he said that he would watch over them and promised that they would be fine, and I had nothing to worry about, that they would be safe with him. He came off like he was a brother to a sister kind of relationship, and I trusted this person and allowed my daughter and her friend to go and have lunch at that time. I did not know, and I want to stress it very clearly, I did not know his age at that time. I just figured that he was a friend, hang around friend, possibly even high school. So yes, he did come and he did assure me that my daughter and her girlfriend would be safe with him.
So the second time Charlamagne came to my home, I wasn't here. I'm not sure where I was, but my brother answered the door, told Charlamagne I wasn't here. And that was the second occasion. The third occasion was the day of the party. Charlamagne called me one day and told me he was having a party, a beach party, and invited me to the beach party. Initially, I said no, but then he said the party was actually for him. It was his birthday. And he said, you know, you're like my sister, you have to be there. And I told him, I said, okay. Give me a second. So he told me it was his birthday party and I had to be there. He said, you're like my sister, I want you to come. And I told him, I said, okay, I would come. So I called my best friend and I asked her if she wanted to go. And she said that she would think about it. She got back to me and said she couldn't go. So I asked my brother's girlfriend at the time, her name is Malika Joyner, and she said that she would go with me. Or the day of the party, I got a call from Charlamagne and asked if we were ready. And we told him yes. So he came to pick us up. There were two vehicles. It was a Yukon and I believe it was a Talon, if I'm not mistaken, a sports car. He had a few guys with him, and one of those guys was a cousin of his by the name of Kenta Palmer. Kenta Palmer was the one driving the sports vehicle. Prior to this day, I had never met Kenta or any of the guys who came to pick us up. I just assumed they were friends and family of his because he was having this alleged birthday party. There were a few guys in the truck and one guy in the sports car. They picked us up late afternoon. Malika and I got into the vehicles. We left. From there, we went to his father's house. Once we got there, I met his father, and there was a few other people there, which I believe were his family members, and they were sitting in there watching TV. We sat there for a while. We left his parents' house and got into the vehicles and drove to, I believe it was a gas station. At the gas station, Malika called my mom to check in to let her know we were okay. I believe Charlamagne and someone else got out and went inside the gas station, came back into the vehicles, and then we drove to the villa. Once we got there, went inside. Give me a minute. Villa number 30. This is where the party was. Me and Malika walked into the party with Charlamagne, his friends and cousins. I do not want to tell that story again. I don't even want to do bits and pieces of it. Fucking over it. Malika and I sat down and Charlamagne asked us if we wanted something to drink. Malika took a drink, but I told him I was fine, I didn't want to drink. But it's like he kept pressuring me to drink. He was like, This is where Charlamagne gave Malika and I the drinks. He himself made those drinks. He told me that I could trust him. I was like his sister. He would let nothing happen to me that night. He repeatedly asked me over and over and over if I wanted to drink, and even after telling him no several times, he still pressured me. I finally took a drink. Now, mind you, I'm 15 years old. I'm a child, I'm a minor. I'm being pressured into drinking by someone who I thought I could trust. I let my guards down. And I said, you know what? This is my friend. He won't let anything happen to me. And he betrayed me. He allowed his friends or cousins or whoever those guys were to take advantage of me, and he himself took advantage of me as well. He brought me here and left me here.
All right, good evening. This is the Star Report. My name is Star. I'm your host, and I have Malika Joyner on the line with me, the friend and relative of Jessica Reid, who was indeed raped in 2001 in South Carolina at a party where Leonard McKelvey, also known as Charlamagne, did take a plea to contributing to the delinquency of a minor. But Malika, you have come forward. You contacted me, and you want to tell.
Yes.
You want to tell what you saw? I mean, let's just get right to it. What did you see that...
Well, okay, we can get right to it. We were offered drinks. There was something in the drink.
He went in the kitchen, made a drink for me. I took the drink and I sat next to Malika, and I was drinking my drink, and she was just about done with hers. She just, out of the blue, started throwing up. And the funny thing about it was, after she was throwing up, he kept asking her or trying to give her more drinks. And she was like, you know, I can't drink anymore.
You know, because I didn't know who he was, you know, on the radio. That was my first time ever meeting him. Mm-hmm. I was introduced through Jessica. I knew nothing about him. I was basically going there. She asked me if I would like to go with her. So I said, yeah, I'll go with you, right. You know. So I didn't know him at all prior to this event occurring. I didn't know who he was.
I sat my cup down, and I just said, okay, I started feeling weird. And I said, okay, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. This is what I told myself. And when I got up to go to the bathroom, I fell to the floor. I couldn't move my legs. I couldn't move my arms. It's like I had no control over my limbs. I could see and I could hear, but I couldn't move. So I heard the guys in the back, and they were laughing, and Charlamagne was laughing. And he told them to take me upstairs. Taken upstairs by two guys, one named Larry and one named Boo, who took me into a bathroom and violated me and took advantage of me. Charlamagne allowed these guys to take me upstairs. In fact, he told them to take me upstairs after giving me a drink with a drug in it. I got up off the couch and I couldn't even move. I collapsed to the floor, and all he could do was laugh. He didn't ask if I was okay. He didn't help me up. He laughed. So they took me upstairs, and then they took me into the bathroom.
I did see two people escort her upstairs, but like I said, I myself was I was throwing up and so forth. I was out of it too, but I was still able to know what was, you know, able to see and hear what was going on. But it was like everything for me was slow motion. But she was escorted up the stairs with two gentlemen.
Okay. They took me upstairs and took me into the bathroom. And can't do this. They took me upstairs and took me into the bathroom. And they had my arms like this. One was here and one was here. And they were holding me up because I couldn't hold myself up. And I had a dress on. I had one arm like this, and Larry was holding me up. And Boo had this other arm, but with his other hand, he was just forcing his fingers in my vagina. And I was just sitting there helpless. I couldn't do nothing. I cannot do this.
At any point were you in the room together with Jessica when she was being raped, or were you in another room and you came
No.
in? How did that play out?
No, she was upstairs. I was downstairs.
Okay.
When they were finished, they just left me in the bathroom and I fell to the floor. And I was just laying on the floor crying. I was just laying there. And then somebody came into the bathroom, picked me up, and put me in the bedroom. Left me in the bedroom, closed the door behind them. I don't know how long I was laying there for, but Larry ended up coming in the bedroom. He came in, he got on the bed, and he started to rub his penis on my body. And all I could do at the time was just try to roll around on the bed. And I was rolling until I eventually fell off the bed. I don't know. I don't even know how I got back onto the bed. I don't even know. But he left. And then Charlamagne came into the room. And I saw Charlamagne's face with my own eyes. When he opened that door, I saw his face. I saw his face. I heard his voice while he was raping me. There's nothing that nobody can say. And started taking off my clothes. And started talking to me in the process. And he kept saying things like, I told you I was going to take care of you and nothing was going to happen to you.
But because I was throwing up, I was still coherent. I was still able to, I was still aware of my surroundings. So
Okay.
He couldn't really, he gave up with me, he was kissing on me, trying to unbutton my shirt. I was determined, that was not going to happen. And in the process of him not being able to sexually, come on to me the way he wanted to, because I was still able to, to know what's going on, then that's, where Jessica, he went to Jessica.
I told you I was going to take care of you and nothing's going to happen to you. This is Charlamagne, and he just kept going on and on. And then he started kissing me, and he started kissing me. And the whole time he's doing all of these things, I was there crying. That's why it's so hard. Like, as I'm saying it, it's replaying in my head and I can see it happening. He was kissing me everywhere. And I'm laying there crying. And he's like trying to shush me. I'm sitting there crying. And he tries to shush me. And then he performs oral sex on me. And then he rapes me. And I was trying to move, but I don't know, he was heavy. And it was like nothing I could do.
I was downstairs when Jessica went upstairs to the bathroom, and she was gone quite a while. At that time, I was thrown up and so forth, so it took me quite a bit of time to get to her. But what made me get up to get to her, not even that she was gone for so long, but I heard yelling and screaming, a lot of noise, and like something wasn't right. So that's what made me get up to go find Jessica. And in the process of me finding Jessica, I did see Charlamagne on top of Jessica. I did see Charlamagne on top of Jessica. I did see Charlamagne on top of Jessica. And Jessica was very hysterical. Oh gosh, it was horrible.
I was laying on the bed with no clothes on, and I remember somebody opening the door.
Okay, so you went upstairs and you had to push your way into the room, or the door was open? What?
No, the door was closed. It was not open whatsoever. I had to literally get in. I don't know how, but I mustered up the energy to get in that room.
Okay.
And like I said, I did see Charlamagne on top of Jessica. And in the process, because it was more of a shock, like, how did she get in here? You know, he jumped off her and proceed to run out.
Mm-hmm. So when you came into the room and you claimed that you...
Jessica was hysterical. She was yelling and screaming. I'm trying to figure out, you know, I'm just in shock because I couldn't believe what I saw. Mm-hmm. Like, I was really like, oh my gosh, you know, like, she was, and I'm trying to calm her down and just be there for her. And she had no clothes on. It was horrible. You know, she was yelling, screaming, saying they raped me, they touched me, you know, and it was, wow, it was a lot to take on.
So when you came into the room, did you see,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, when you came into the room, did you see Charlamagne's pants down, or did you see him naked? What was...
His pants was down. Yes, his pants was down. When he jumped up, he pulled everything up.
Okay.
And ran out the room.
And then Malika staggered in, and she was asking me where my clothes were. And I told her I didn't know. I told her I didn't know where they were. And then, I don't know, it was weird. I told her I didn't know where my clothes were. And then Larry, no, excuse me. I told her I didn't know what my clothes were. And I think I started yelling or something. And Larry told me to shut the fuck up before he kicked me in the head. And I was like, where's my clothes? Where's my clothes? Where's my clothes? And he said, Larry said, ain't nobody do nothing to you. You just acting crazy for no reason. And I just kept saying, where's my clothes? Where's my clothes? I just started screaming. And then when I started screaming, everybody ran. Everybody left. Everybody left. I wasn't in any shape to call the police or speak to the police. I don't know how they were called. I know Malika and I ended up downstairs outside of the villa in the front, and we were just sitting out there in the dark. And then a black car pulled up and asked us if we were okay. And if I'm not mistaken, I think either he called or Malika called. I'm not sure who called the police, but someone called the police because we went to the hospital that night.
I'm the one that called her mother, her brother. We got the EMS out there. You know, I was the one that was there with her, so she wasn't by herself.
So right now we're at Somerville Medical Center. After the incident took place at the villa, the emergency room picked up me and Malika, and this is where they brought us. When I arrived here, my mother was here, my brother was here, and also a friend of the family who was actually the chaplain that night. Her name is Betty Broomfield. They were here.
Early morning, I received a phone call, and I could hear Jessica screaming in the background. Malika talked on the phone, and she did not know exactly where they were. Someone stopped and let them use their cell phone so that they can contact me. Immediately, I called 911 to have someone dispatched over to where the incident occurred. I stayed on the phone until I heard from an ambulance technician to tell me where they were taking my daughter Jessica, Reid, and Malika Joyner. They informed me that they were going to take them to the Somerville Medical Center. Me and family rushed to the hospital only to see my daughter lying on the emergency bed, screaming, traumatized, and in shock. It was one of the worst days of my life. And the family was so upset to see her in that type of position.
Charlamagne did not come to the hospital. Charlamagne did not call me the day after. I had never heard from Charlamagne again after that night. And he's the one who invited me to the party. He's the one who took me to the party, and he left me there.
If you're so innocent and you didn't do anything, why didn't you pick up the phone and call somebody? Why didn't you ask, hey, is Jessica okay? You brought me to that party. You never picked up the phone to call. You never stopped by my house to check on me because you knew you were guilty. You knew what you had done.
As hard as that was to hear, I need you all to brace yourself.
Area, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I got this girl real drunk, and we fought.
That sentence sounds a little fishy.
I
got her drunk.
I didn't just get her drunk. I remember I went to the sex store and got Spanish Fly.
Oh, so you raped her?
Shut up. Spanish Fly. They sell it in the sex store. I'm telling the truth. They sell it in the Spanish store. I had to fucking.
They sell knives at the store too. You could put that to a girl's throat and have sex with it. That doesn't mean it's illegal.
So I put the Spanish Fly in the E&J. We drinking the E&J and shit. So in my mind, I don't know if this shit really worked, but I felt like I got horny as a motherfucker too. Right? So she was drunk as shit, and we had sex and shit, and like. A lot of my boys was trying to come in the room and fuck her. I'm like, nah, chill out. I can't. I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna let you run a train on it. That's rape.
Yeah.
Okay. So, right. So
if it's just one-on-one, it ain't rape.
Yeah. So the next
trains are rape.
So the next morning she wakes up. And we talk about it. And she's like, what happened? I'm like, we had sex. She said, okay, well, I'm glad it was you. Then a couple days later, she's like, yo, are you sure I only had sex with you? Because one of my stupid ass cousins was going around saying he fucked her, which he didn't. I know for a fact he didn't. I was there the whole time. He did not fuck her. He looked at her naked, but he didn't fuck her, right? So I'm telling her, no, me and you just had sex. Nobody else did nothing. So it just was weird that she was like, well, I'm just glad it was you. You know what I'm saying? Because in my mind, I'm like, yo, you could have been in a real bad situation if it was another motherfucker.
That's a huge compliment, man. A girl just said, yo, at least you raped me.
I didn't rape her. I did not rape her.
Hey, if it was any of your cousins or friends, it would have been rape. But
I didn't rape her because me and her had every intention of having sex with each other.
So then why would you put the Spanish fly?
I'm still a freaky motherfucker, but I was listen,
was she passed out while you fucked her?
Nah, she wasn't like, she was like one of those drunks where, no, she was one of those drunks where like, she was one of those drunks where she was like, she wasn't coherent, but she was up. You know, when your girls is like when you're blacked out, like that, don't know what the fuck's going on type shit. Like she was really.
She was a.
This is sick. Now let's talk about credibility. The credibility of Charlamagne that you're listening to is the same man that said that he sexually assaulted his wife. And I'm going to read to you verbatim what he said about attacking his wife in a similar manner. Charlamagne said, I'm married to my wife. Me and my wife dated a whole year. She would not give me the PUSSY. Me and my wife hung out one Saturday night, and she got sloppy drunk and passed out on my mama's house, in my mama's house, and I got that PUSSY. She was effing me back and all that, but she was really drunk. I asked her yesterday, did I RAPE you the first time we ever had sex? And she goes, I mean, in hindsight, yes. Someone may defend Charlamagne as he took a lot of heat for saying that he sexually assaulted his wife. Being that it's his wife now, she wants to take up for her husband. She called the radio show and she said, I wasn't all the way incoherent. I mean, I was throwing it back, such as he said here. She's taken up for her husband and said that they did it again the next morning. I'm quite sure they did it a billion times after that. They're married. But let's talk about Charlamagne's the God brain. She's saying, his wife, that she was coherent enough that it wasn't to take up for him. What does that have to do with Charlamagne knowing that? Charlamagne was bragging and saying that she wasn't coherent enough. That's what he thought. That matches the guy that you just heard in this second confession live on air. And I asked myself, why would a man in the Me Too climate be so carefree with admitting this? The testimony from the young girl here in the video isn't taken from me. The full documentary will be below. Make sure you go check that out and give him credit because he tried everything in 2018 to expose Charlamagne the God. And I want to say 2018 because look what was happening back then in the Me Too movement. How did Charlamagne the God escape during the time of Harvey Weinstein going down, Bill Cosby going down? Chris D'Elia didn't even make it to the point of what Charlamagne allegedly did. We were afraid that he would. With inboxing young girls, and Chris D'Elia lost his agent, lost his entire career, had to go away. Couldn't do podcasts. And the whole time he did this, Charlamagne the God went on a podcast to brag to the world about drugging someone and sleeping with them. And he made sure to tell you all that she was incoherent. 2018 in the Me Too movement, he didn't even get a slap on the wrist. The guy that went on Ellen DeGeneres to promote his book, went on all the late night talk shows, Friends with all the celebrities, the NBA players. I mean, Hot 97. I apologize. The Breakfast Club. I think there's 107.1. Correct me if I'm wrong on those numbers, but that is the number one hip hop show in New York City, the Mecca where hip hop was supposed to be born. That's a huge deal. That show is number one, even with the talent of Angela Yee and the talent of DJ Envy. It is number one because of Charlamagne the God's presence, who has always made women feel uncomfortable on that show since the beginning, saying really crazy things to them.
You so stupid. Something wrong with you.
This will be new.
Right, thank you.
Don't make a relapse.
Look, you stupid. Really?
Yes, really.
Really?
Don't worry about
Can't she get my face?
Okay, a little bit of the face.
Look at this.
All right.
Look at this.
I'm focused on my business, and until somebody comes along that, is really worth my time, then.
You didn't bring none of the lingerie with you?
Do you want some?
No, I just want to see
They
what
have
it
men's
looks like.
stuff.
I have men's stuff too.
Man.
Okay.
You got the panties on now?
No.
Okay. Is that a
Go
dress
back to
or
your
show?
Bible, Charlamagne.
All right, you're right. I sniffed your chair last time you was
You're
here.
a sick person.
I know. I did. I couldn't help
person.
it. You're J-Lo. I just
He definitely did a couple of times.
I just had to know what it smelled like just a little bit.
J-Lo just left. Never fails. Come on, y'all. Picture.
Charlamagne the God. I wonder how many millions of dollars is pumped into that because of that radio show being number one in hip hop. And I asked myself, just how important is a radio station when we have Spotify and Apple Music and all the other platforms we can go to? How important is a radio station that all of these powerful men such as Harvey Weinstein that own an entire movie company, that nothing happened to Charlamagne the God? Now he wants to talk technicalities, and now he wants to play with words. He just told you all that the only reason that they're not going to retry this is because the victim would not cooperate and because of the lack of evidence. And he's playing with words when he says that. The only way they won't try this is something similar to double jeopardy. He got a plea deal. The state of South Carolina has to honor that plea deal. They can't go renege. This isn't a case where the victim did not want to cooperate. She screamed. She really wanted to cooperate. But she was a 15-year-old little girl, and her mother wouldn't let her. And I guarantee you is hunting her mother to this very second.
I have regrets in which I am very sorry about, because when my daughter was drugged and raped, I wanted to do nothing but protect her. I didn't want her to suffer anymore. I didn't want her to feel that pain anymore. And so I did not let her testify. And because of that, today we are finding out that Mr. McCalvey is going to get away with what he did to my daughter, Jessica, and this family. For all these years, we've been suffering, going through pain and anguish over his decisions. Molest my daughter, rape her. And now she has to deal with this and we have to deal with this. And I'm so sorry that I didn't take the initiative then to persecute him for what he did to my daughter. I'm sorry. He came to our home and he acted as if he was going to be a friend to us. He came to us and said, "Don't worry, nothing's going to happen to her. And I'll make sure that she'll be safe."
That one decision by her mother is the only reason you and I know Charlamagne the God exists. Because without that decision, 12 people would have got to hear from a 15-year-old girl say the same story that you all just heard. The repeated assaults throughout the night from an almost 23-year-old man allegedly going to her house to befriend, tell her older brother, tell her mother, tell her whole family, with a 15-year-old girl. I have a 15-year-old daughter. I can't imagine in any set that my 15-year-old daughter should be talking to a 22-year-old man. But he's playing on words. Lack of evidence. Lack of evidence. Put your money where your mouth is, Charlamagne. They can't go back and try a case after they made a deal with you, but it's your deal. Why don't you go to Moncks Corner, South Carolina, and tell them that the deal is off the table? You literally just said in a recording that you want to do anything to help the victim. The victim would love nothing more than to sit in front of 12 jurors and tell what you did to her. Allegedly. She liked to tell what she said that you did to her. That's what she liked to do. So you can't say that the victim doesn't want to go along with it. The state's hands are tied, and it's saving you for the rest of your life. But what about us? This is where we start to take something that happened to someone, and we have to turn it into cancel culture politics. And whichever side you skew to, this is the side that you lean on. And me, I'm more selfish. I don't care about other people when it comes to this. But I care about myself. So when I say I'm selfish, I say that this is enough evidence from the lies I've seen from both of his statements contradicting himself on his own story. This is enough for me to never want to listen to The Breakfast Club again. I'm so wrapped up in my own head, I don't care what you guys do. I'm talking about me. I'm not messing with a Charlamagne the God. I don't even care about radio that much. And I don't even listen to 107. I don't even listen to The Breakfast Club unless they're dragging somebody else or doing something else foul and immature. Like one of my favorite actors, Lakeith Stanfield. This one's for you, my brother. But what about you? See, I don't think about cancel culture. I just think about consistency. If I don't like something, I don't like it. I don't care who does it. I stay the same. What about you? What about other people that never got the opportunity to be in Charlamagne the God's position because you guys hated them attempting to do that so much that you got rid of their asses? How consistent are you? It isn't about cancel culture. It's about being consistent. Let all of the other people go, all of the men who's been in trouble for doing stuff like this. Let's uncancel CK. Let's uncancel Chris D'Elia. Let's uncancel Kevin Spade or whatever his name, House of Cards. Let's uncancel Harvey Weinstein. Let's uncancel Bill Cosby. Let's uncancel everybody if he's uncanceled. It's all about being consistent to me, if you care about consistency. But again, I'm selfish, so I can only hold myself accountable. So I'm going to be consistent, and I'm going to give Charlamagne the God the same treatment as I gave everybody else, because it's about the action, not the human being. That's all I have to say.